Hello, guys. Where's my face? Where's my face? Oh, here it is. I haven't going in the camera yet. Sorry. I'm feeling like I got a brain of an alien. Brain of an alien? Oh, well, I wonder why the hello got a strange voice like that. Don't you remember? You got a challenge for me is being a baby for a day. Oh yes, this cute little furry snail wants a challenge. No, you put the challenge for me. Oh yes, I forgot. I said a challenge for him is being a baby for a day. And he told back all the stories because when he was little, he remembers things a lot. And when he grows up, he's just like me, forgetting everything. Even when I said, today let's go to play. Everyone remembers, but after Hello changed his clothes to play, and then he asked me again, why I changed my clothes and where are we gonna go to? And then I do like this because he got an alien brain from an alien. That means doesn't remember anything. I'm not an alien. Okay, you still a cute little furries. Just land on your soft bed. It's not really my bed, it's your pillow. Yes, I know. So let's get up to the part 2 of this book. Oops, I'm sorry. Where is it? Here. Robinson explained about the narrow styles. Dear, too fat. So you're going all alone? Why don't you keep a dog to run errands? Robinson answered all Mr. Pepperell's questions by sensibly and prettily. He showed much intelligence and quite a good knowledge of vegetables. For one so young, he trotted along almost under the horse, looking up at his shiny chestnut coat and the broad white griff and Mr. Pepperell's gaiters and brown leather boots. Mr. Pepperell was pleased with Robinson. He gave him another penny. At the end of the flints, he gathered up the reins and touched the horse with his heel. Well, good day, little pig. Kind regard to the ounce. Mind yourself and Steinmouth. He whistled for his dogs and trotted away. Robinson continued to walk along the road. He passed by an orchard where 7 thin, dirty pigs were grubbing. There are no silver rings in their nose. Why do they need a silver ring in their nose? I don't know. He crossed Dyford Bridge without stopping to look over the parapet at the little fishes swimming head upstream, balanced in the sluggish current. or the white ducks that dabbled amongst the floating masses of water crowsfoot. At Stafford Mill, he called to leave a message from Aunt Dorcas and to the miller about the meal. The miller's wife gave him an apple. At the house beyond the mill, there is a dog that barks. But the big dog, Gypsy, only smiled and wagged his tail at Robinson. Several carts and gigs overtook him. First, two old farmers who screwed themselves round to stare at Robinson. They had 2 geese, a sack of potatoes, and some cabbages sitting on the back seat of a gig. Then an old woman passed in a donkey cart with 7 hens and a long pink bundles of rhubarb that had been grown in straw under apple barrels. Then in a rattle and a jingle of cans came Robinson's cousin, Little Tom Pig, giving a strawberry roan pony and a milk float. He might have offered Robinson a lift, only he had happened to be going in the opposite direction. In fact, the strawberry roan pony was running away home. "This little pig went to market," shouted Tom Pig gaily, as he rattled out of sight in a cloud of dust, leaving Robinson standing in the road. Robinson walked on along the road, and presently he came to another stile on the opposite edge, where the footpath followed the fields again. Robinson got his basket through the stile. For the first time he felt apprehension. In this field were cows, big, sleek Devon cattle, not demon cattle, Devon cattle, dark red like their native soil. The leader of the herd was a vicious old cow with brass balls screwed on the tips of her horns. He stared disagreeably at Robinson. He slid across the meadow and got out through the farther stile as quickly as he could. Here the new trodden footpath followed round the edge of a crop of young green wheat. Someone let off a gun with a bang that made Robinson jump and crack up Aunt Dorcas' eggs in the basket. A cloud of rooks and jackdaws rose, cawing and scolding from the wheat. Other sounds mingled with their cries, noises of a town of Steinmouth that began to come in sight through the elm trees that bordered the fields. Distant noises from the station, whistling of an engine, the bump of trucks, shunting noise of workshops, the hum of a distant town, the hooter of a steamer entering the harbor. High overhead came the hoarse cry of the gulls and the squabbing cawing of rooks. old and young, and were rookery up in the elm trees. Robinson left the fields for the last time and joined the stream of country people on foot in carts, all going to Steinmouth Market. Chapter 4. Steinmouth is a pretty little town situated at the mouth of a river. Pigsty, whose sluggish water slides gently into a bay sheltered by high red headlands. The town itself seemed to be sliding downhill with a basin of hills, all slipping seaward into Steinmouth Harbor, which is dammed back by the quays and the other outer breakwater. The outskirts of the town were untidy. There's frequently the case with seaports. A straggling suburb on the western approach is inhabited principally by goats and persons who deal in old iron rags, tarred rope, and fishing nets. No. Baby Hello is just merely fall when he is sleeping. Road walks, tarred rope, and fishing nets. There are road walks and washings at flaps on waggling lines above banks of stony shingle littered with seaweed, whelk shells, and dead crabs, every different from Aunt Porky's clotheslines over the sea-green grass. Clean green glass. There are marine stories that sell spyglasses and soul oysters and onions, and there are smells and curious high sheds shaped like sentry boxes, where they hang up herring nets to dry, and a loud talking inside dirty houses. It seemed a likely place to meet a pelican. Robinson kept in the middle of the road. Somebody in a public house shouted at him through the window, "Come in, fat pig." Robinson took to his heels. The town of Steinmouth itself is clean, pheasant, picture square, and well-behaved, always excepting the harbor. But it is extremely steep downhill. If Robinson had startled one of Aunt Dorcas' eggs rolling at the top of High Street, it would have rolled all the way down to the bottom. It would have got broken certainly against the doorstep or underfoot. There were crowds in the street, as it was market day. Indeed, it was difficult to walk about without being pushed off the pavement. Very old women that Robinson met seemed to have a basket as big as his own, and the roadway were fish barrels, apple barrels, stalls with crockery and hardware, cocks and hens riding in pony carts, donkeys with panniers, and farmers with wagon loads of hay. Also, there was a constant string of coal carts coming up from the docks. Two country-bred pig noise was confusing and fearful. Robinson kept his head very creditably until he got to 4th Street, where a drover's dog was trying to turn 3 bullocks into a yard, assisted by Stumpy and half our dogs of a town. Robinson and 2 other little pigs with baskets of asparagus bolted down an alley and hid a doorway until the noise of bellowing and barking had passed. When Robinson took courage to come out again into 4th Street, he decided to follow close behind the tail of a donkey. He was carrying panniers piled high with spring broccoli. There was no difficulty in guessing which road to lead to market, but after all these delays, it was not surprising the church clock struck 11. Although it had been open since 10, there were still plenty of customers buying and wanting to buy in the market hall. It was a large, airy, light, cheerful, covered with plates, with glass in the roof. It was crowded but safe and pleasant, compared with jostling and racket outside in the cobble-paved streets. But only there was no risk of being run over. There was a loud hum of voices. Market folk cried the words. No, wars. Customer elbowed and pushed round the stalls. Dairy produce, vegetables, fish, and shellfish were displayed upon the flat boards on restos. Robinson had found a standing place at one end of the store where Nanny Nettigoat was selling periwinkles. Winkle, winkle, wink, wink, wink. Ma, ma, bleated Nanny. Winkles were only things that were offered for sale, so she felt no jealously of Robinson's eggs and primroses. She knew nothing about his cauliflowers. He had the sense to keep them in a basket under the table. He stood on an empty box, quite proud and bold, behind the resto table, singing, "Eggs new laid, fresh new laid eggs. Who come and buy my eggs and the folies? I will sure. A large brown dog with a stumpy tail. I buy a dozen. My Miss Rose has sent me to market on purpose to buy eggs and butter. I'm so sorry I have no butter, Mr. Stumpy, but I have beautiful cauliflowers," said Robinson, lifting up the basket. After a courteous glance round at Nanny Nettigoat, he might have tried to nibble them. She was busy measuring periwinkles in a pewter mug for a duck customer with a tam-o' shanter cap. "They're lovely brown eggs. I stick one that got cracked. I think that white pussycat at the opposite stall is selling butter. They're beautiful cauliflowers." "I buy cauliflower. Lovely. Bless," said his little turnip nose. "Did he grow them in his own garden, said old Bestie, bustling up. Her rheumatism was better. She had left Susan to keep house. No, lovely, I don't want any eggs. I keep hens myself. A cauliflower and a bunch of daffodils for a bow pot, please, said Bestie. Wee, 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 replied Robinson. Here, Mr. Perkins, come here. Look at this little pig stuck up at his stall by himself. Well, I don't know, exclaimed Mr. Perkins, pushing through the crowd, followed by two little girls. Well, I never. Are they quite new laid, Sonny? I won't go off, Pop, and soil my Sunday dress like the eggs. Mr. William took first prize without 5 flower shows till they pop and spoil the Dutch black silk dress, not duck eggs, stained with coffee. That's another trick of flower shows, new laid guaranteed. Only you say one's crack. Now I call that real honest. It's no worse for frying. I have a dozen eggs and a cauliflower. Please, look, Sarah Polly, look at his silver nose ring. Sarah Polly and her little girlfriend went into fits of giggling so that Robinson blushed. He was so confused that he did not notice a lady who still wanted to buy his last cauliflower till she touched him. There was nothing else left to sell but a bunch of primroses. After more giggling and some whispering of two little girls came back and bought the primroses. They gave him a peppermint as well as a penny, which Robinson accepted, but without enthusiasm and with a cuppy manner. The trouble that was no sooner said he parted with a bunch of primroses than he realized that it was also sold, out Dorcas' pattern of darning wool. He wondered if he ought to ask for it back, but Mr. Perkins and Sarah Polly and her little girl friend had disappeared. Robinson, having sold everything, came out of a market hall. Whitney. 2 more chapters, guys. We're nearly done. Came out of the market hall, sucking the peppermint. There were still numbers of people coming in. As Robinson came out upon the steps, his basket got caught in the shawl of an elderly sheep who was pushing her way up. While Robinson was disentangling it, Stumpy came out. He had finished his marketing. His basket was full of heavy purchases. A responsible, trustworthy, obliging dog was Stumpy, glad to do a kindness to anybody. When Robinson asked him the way to Mr. Mumby's, Stumpy said, I'm going home by Broad Street. Come with me and I'll show you. Wee, wee, wee. Oh, thank you, Stumpy, said Robinson. Old Mr. Mumby was a deaf old man in spectacles who kept a general store. He sold almost anything you can imagine, except ham. I imagine that my cute little that my cute little baby hello was a people, not a plushie. If I was that in the Peter Rabbit world, I imagine that, and then I hope he sell the living cuteness, this living cutie. Okay, you guys, please do not say anything too loud about this cutie because he's sleeping. Escape ham, a circumstance much approved by outdoor kids. It was the only general store in Steinmouth where you would not find displayed upon the counter a large dish containing strings of thin, pale-colored, repulsively uncooked sausages and rolled bacon hanging from the ceiling. Huh? What pleasure, said Outdoor Kiss feelingly. What possible pleasure can be in entering a shop where you knock your head against a ham? A ham that may belong to a dear second cousin? Therefore, the owl bought the sugar and tea, the blue bag, the soap, the frying pans, the matches, the mugs from old Mr. Mumby. All these things he sold, and many more besides, and what he did not keep in stock he would obtain to order, but yeast requires to be quite fresh. He did not sell it. He advised Robinson to ask for yeast at a baker's shop. Also, he said it was too late in the season to buy cabbage seed. Everybody had finished sowing vegetable seeds this year. Worsted for darning he did sell, but Robinson had forgotten the color. Robinson bought 6 sticks of delightfully sticky barley sugar with his pennies, and listened carefully to Mr. Mumby's message for Aunt Dorcas and Aunt Porcus. For Aunt Dorcas and Aunt Porcus have sent home cabbages next week when the donkey cart would be mended, and how the kettle was not repaired yet, and there was a new patent box iron. He would like to recommend to Aunt Porcus. Robinson said wee, and listened, and little dog Tipkins, who stood on tool behind the computer, tying up grocery parcels in blue paper bags. Little dog Tipkins whispered to Robinson, were there any rats this spring in the barn at Piggery Combe? And what would Robinson be doing on Saturday afternoon? Wee, said Robinson. Robinson came out of Mr. Mumby's heavily laden. The barley sugar was comforting, but he was troubled about the darning wool, yeast, and the cabbage seed. He was looking about rather anxiously when again he met old Bestie, who exclaimed, "Bless little piggy, not gone home yet? Now must not stop in Steinmouth till it gets its pocket picked." Robinson explained his difficulty about the darning wool. Kind old Bestie was ready with help. "Why, I've noticed the wool round the little primrose posy. It was blue-gray color, like the last pair of socks that I knit for Sam. Come with me to the wool shop, Fleecy Flock's wool shop. I remember the color." "Well, I do," said Bestie. Mr. Flock was the sheep that had run against Robinson. She had bought herself 3 turnips and come straight home from market, for fear of missing customers while her shop was locked up. Such a shop, such a jumble, wool all sorts of colors. Thick wool, thin wool, fingering wool, and rug wool, bundles and bundles all jumbled up, and she could not put her hoof on anything. And she was so confused and slow at finding things that Bestie got impatient. I don't want wool for slippers. Darning wool. Fleecy. Darning wool. Same color as I bought for my same socks. Bless me. No, not knitting needles. Darning wool. Bah, bah. Do you say white or black? 3-ply was it? Oh dear me, grey darning wool on cars, not Hever mixture. I know I have it somewhere, said Fleecy Frog, helplessly, jumbling up the skeins and bundles. Sam Ram came in this morning with part of a Hampton clip. My shop is completely cluttered up. It took half an hour to find the wool. If Bestie had not been with him, Robinson never had have got it. It's that late. I must go home, said Bestie. My Sam is on shore today for dinner. If you take my advice, you'll leave that big, heavy basket with the Miss Goldfinches and hurry with your shopping. And a long uphill walk home to Piggery for Combe. Robinson, anxious to follow old Bestie's advice, walked towards Miss Goldfinch's. On the way, he came to a baker's, and he remembered the yeast. He was not the right sort of baker, unfortunately. It was a nice bakery smell and pastry in the window, but it was an eating house or cook shop. When he pushed the swing door open, a man in an apron and a square white cap turned round and said, "Hullo, is this pork pie walking on its hind legs?" And 4 rude men at a dining table burst out laughing. Robinson left the shop in a hurry. He felt afraid to go with any other baker's shop. He was looking wistfully into another window in 4th Street when Stumpy saw him again. He had taken his own basket. Nearly done, nearly done. Saw him again. He had taken his own basket home. Okay, I go check. Perfect. And come out another errand. He carried Robinson's basket in his mouth and took him to his very safe baker, where he was accustomed to buy dog biscuits for himself, where Robinson purchased Aunt Dorcas yeast at last. They searched in vain for cabbage seed. Were told that the only likely place was little store on the quay, kept a pair of wagtails. "It is a pity I cannot go with you," said Stumpy. "My Miss Rose has sprained her ankle. She sent me to fetch 12 postage stamps, and I must take them home to her before the post goes out. I do not try to carry this heavy basket down and up the steps. Leave it with the Miss Goldfinches." Robinson was very grateful to Stumpy. 2 Miss Goldfinches kept a tea and coffee tavern which was patronized by Aunt Dorcas and the quieter market people. Over the door was a sign board upon which was painted a fat little green bird called the Contented Siskin, which was the name of their coffee tavern. They had a stable where the carrier's donkey raced when it came to Steinmouth